Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode is a pretty serious topic for me. In today's episode, the topic is, are the Clippers mysteriously being plagued with bad luck? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, our Dreamerspro community, premium community, online sports community, it will be done on Monday. We're just putting in the final touches, so we're definitely going to give you guys more information on that, and also be on the lookout for Dreamerspro.com, which will be coming up subsequently. Also, obviously, this is for people that are really interested in that. So anyway, let me get into the topic here. So this is one of these topics I've been trying to avoid because I don't get into superstition. I really try to avoid it. But there just been some key occurrences that's made me kind of think, and I said, listen, let's get into this topic here. Now, we all remember the hype surrounding the Clippers all last season, right? The Battle of LA, because the NBA wanted to create that storyline, and justifiably, because it was a very interesting one to see, Kawhi Leonard, deciding to kind of shun LeBron, go sign with the Clippers instead of signing with the Lakers to guarantee himself a championship. They made it into the big Battle of LA, which in all reality, it was the Battle of LA. Now, as a Kobe Bryant fan, I know how big the Lakers are in LA. I've only been to LA once, but I didn't attend a Lakers game. Unfortunately, I wish I could have. I wish I could have seen the late and great Kobe Bryant play. But I know Kobe and the Lakers are a big deal in Los Angeles, but really all over the world. Laker fans are all over the world, right? I remember when I was living in Italy, there were Laker fans out there. Laker fans they have them and the Celtics have a huge fan base because, they both of these organizations have 17 championships between the two of them. So that should be expected. And that should come as no surprise. They have 34 championships between the two of them. So there should be no surprise for that. Now, we remember the Battle of LA, right? And the Clippers came out early on in the season. They took the first two games, right? First game was without Paul George when Anthony Davis was making his debut with the Lakers. And the second game was on Christmas Day, which was a thriller. Lakers led for most of that game. Clippers managed to take the lead in the fourth quarter. And then we all remember the exchange between Patrick Beverley and LeBron James at the end of that game. And then the Lakers bounced back, took that game 3, and they played their most impressive stretch of basketball, in my opinion, after they had just beaten the Milwaukee Bucks 2 nights prior, who had the best record in the NBA. Then they went out and beat the Los Angeles Clippers. And then the final win that they got in the NBA bubble, right? So remember that. And we were all salivating at the matchup between potentially seeing these two teams meet in the conference finals, in the Western Conference Finals. The first round, things went accordingly. Lakers beat the Blazers, Clippers beat the Mavs. Then in the second round, things just came apart for the Clippers. They got up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets. They blew that 3-1 lead. I've gone through this breakdown so many times, and I'm not going to go through again the reasons why. Go over the reasons again. Why they blew that 3-1 lead, but we all knew that. We all know what happened. Knew what happened as far as that series, and y'all have heard my thoughts and opinions on that. Now, going into this season, things had to be different. Things had to be different, and for one person in particular, Paul George, who was inconsistent on the offensive side of the floor last year in the playoffs and in the year overall, he said he was coming back to have a revenge season. And a bounce back season. And ladies and gentlemen, Paul George has been having a bounce back season. The guy's averaging 24.5 points per game, getting you 5+ rebounds, 5+ assists, and over 1 steal a game. And what's more important is that what's more impressive rather, is that Paul George is having a 50-40-90 season. He's shooting 51% from the field, 48% from the 3, and over 90% from the 3-point line. So Paul George is having a sensational season, right? He's having a bounce back year. And early on in the regular season, he was one of the candidates for MVP, in my opinion, just given how well he was playing, given what happened last year in the playoffs. This season, Kawhi Leonard, his running mate, is pretty much doing what he did last year. He's scoring 26.7 points per game. He's shooting 51% from the field, so a very, very efficient score. He's shooting 39% from the 3, 88% from the free throw line, getting you 5.9 rebounds, let's say 6 rebounds a game, 5 assists per game, and getting you 1.8 steals, right? So their two stars have bounced back are bouncing back in a major way. Although Kawhi Leonard didn't need to bounce back, it's just that he had a very poor showing in that Game 7 when they lost. But if you go back and look at his numbers in the playoffs last season, he had some stellar numbers, and all of his numbers went up. Points, rebounds, all of those things went up in the playoffs, with the exception of his 3-point shooting. That was the only thing that didn't go up. Now, let's talk about when things mysteriously started to take a turn for the negative or for the worse. First thing. The lack of media coverage for the Clippers, or recognition. The Clippers this season have had virtually no media coverage. We did a video not too long ago where Kendrick Perkins, who is one of these major flip-floppers in the media, one of the worst media analysts out there, to be honest with you. Kendrick Perkins, I listened to him quite a bit. And again, I said, well, a lot of these guys, if you have a brain in between your ears, you can quickly see through the fluff and through the bravado and through the, through the hyperbolic language that they use. And you quickly begin to understand that these guys are saying a bunch of nothing, or half of the points that they're making usually make no sense. Half of the time, if you listen to Kendrick Perkins on TV, either he's huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf, or over the mic. And I still don't know why people at ESPN don't tell this guy, man, or at least mute him when he's not speaking, right? He's always huffing and puffing and I don't understand what it is. I don't understand what it is with a Kendrick Perkins. But half of the time, half of the points that he makes make absolutely no sense. And Max Kellerman is usually one to kind of stick it to him. And when Kendrick Perkins sit there confused, he's like, "Next, don't worry, I'll draw pictures next time for you to understand what I'm saying." Kendrick Perkins half of the time it has a lot of nonsensical arguments. To be honest with you, I don't know what he's talking about half of the time. But anyway, he's pointed to the fact that the media just, folded their hands and said, listen, we're not going to cover the Clippers. So the lack of media coverage is one thing. Another thing is, it's whenever they do cover the Clippers, it's always when something happens, when something goes wrong. I remember when they had that 47-point loss to the Dallas Mavericks, you would have thought that loss was like 10 losses in one. It was the number one thing, right? Always kind of waiting for them to stumble. The team has been doing well. They'd recently won 4 games, missing so many starters. No mention of it, just in passing, right? That was the first thing. The other thing was Kawhi Leonard never being mentioned for regular season MVP. Not saying he should be MVP, but not even being in the discussion. Right? Yesterday we criticized Stephen A. Smith profusely because I said, listen, this guy he's coming out here giving a lot of rubbish takes. He gave an MVP ranking. He had Joel Embiid, fine. He had LeBron James, no arguments with me. Then he threw up James Harden. Like, what? James Harden, he threw up Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry, and people were like, oh, he's giving his opinion. But his opinion doesn't make sense. I don't understand what's happening. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, the guy's saying something you don't understand, you're not going to ask, hey, man, listen, what you're saying doesn't make sense. You're just going to sit there and say, well, it's his opinion. No. I have a question. Didn't make any sense to me. I'm going to ask you, or say something. This didn't make any sense to me, right? And what you're saying has to make sense. I mean, you just can't be giving your opinions here. You have to, some of it has to make sense. And that list made no sense to me whatsoever. So Kawhi Leonard has been getting zero consideration as far as the MVP discussion, and to me it makes no sense. I'm not saying he should be the MVP, but the guy to get no consideration, and of course Donovan Mitchell. People listen. People are saying Donovan Mitchell is not being mentioned because he has a good team. So is that his fault? Are we going to penalize him for being on a very good team? Giannis Antetokounmpo was having a great year, but he was also on a great team. So we're going to start penalizing players on what is going on? Why are we only making sense for things that we want to make sense for, but for other people, we can find reasons to take things away from them? It's all it's all favoritism. Because if you like a guy, you're just going to make an argument for the guy. And if you don't like the guy, you're going to make an argument why. That's all it is. People can try to dress it up and say, oh, no. Well, you got to look at the team. No, it's just you not liking that person and not want to give it up to that dude. Period. End of story. You don't want to give it up to Donovan Mitchell for stupid reasons because they say, oh, well, we're waiting for him to prove it in the playoffs. What does the playoffs have to do with the regular season? For goodness sake. Russell Westbrook won the regular season MVP. Has he been going deep in the playoffs? When was the last time Russell Westbrook went deep in the playoffs? But nevertheless, we still gave him the regular season MVP. So it has nothing to do with the playoffs. Nothing absolutely. It's just that you don't like this particular dude and you're looking for a reason to not give it to him. Some people feel a type of way, but that's their business. Like if you that's their business. Some people don't like the fact that I say things the way that I do, right? Because some people, for whatever reason, can't deal with some people being confident, especially some certain people. Oh, why is he speaking? Why is he so confident? Why are you so and it rubs some people the wrong way. That's your bloody business. If you don't like the way I speak, listen, you can watch another channel with people that are unsure about themselves or who can explain themselves better. If that makes you feel good, that you need to listen to some people that are unclear, or half of the time they're speaking slang, they don't sound smart, but can entertain you, then you know the right channel to go to anyway. That's one thing. Then you have the injury bug. This is another thing. Just when the team was clicking, all of a sudden, their players started getting injured. 4 out of their 5 starters have been injured. Earlier in the season, their 2 key players, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, were mysteriously taken away right when they were beginning a 6-game road trip. Right when they needed them, they took them away when they were on a winning streak. Now, Kawhi Leonard hasn't played 3 out of the last 4 games. Paul George has, is it 3 or maybe 4 out of the last 5? Paul George has missed the last 7 games. And I'm like, now when you need these guys the most, Nicholas Batum is out with the concussion. Patrick Beverley is in and out of the lineup. And I'm like, what is going on? Why can't this team get a break? Now, it's not a break like, oh, somebody needs to give them a break. No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, why can't things just be normal for this team? Now, I understand teams during the season go through injuries. That's understandable. But just the compilation of issues that the Clippers are having is just like, is this normal? Really, that's the question. That's the crux of the question I'm trying to get to. Is this normal? Right? Is this now? Some people would say, well, the organization is cursed, right? And then if they're cursed, then the next question you'd have to ask is, by who? That's the first question. Who cursed them? And secondly, why would they be cursed, right? So when people kind of get into those things, that seems a bit superstitious, and I don't know where that's coming from. Usually it's from Laker fans. They're saying they're cursed. That's probably one thing, because if they're cursed, then one could say that the Lakers have a lot of good things going for them mysteriously, right? So are y'all blessed? If y'all blessed, by who and by why? And why are you blessed, right? So you can ask the inverse of that same question. So for me, though, on this part of on the Clippers side, given the fact that they're missing so many players, they just lost to the best team in the NBA, in the Utah Jazz, who are playing the best currently. They're going to play them again tonight. And then they're going to be playing the the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. The question is, when are things going to start breaking their way, right? When are things going to start clicking? Because remember, these guys need reps to get on the court. Some of these players are new pieces. Two of the players in their starting 5 are new pieces. Nicholas Batum is a new piece. Serge Ibaka is a new piece. They need these guys to be meshing on the court together. And to me, I hope it changes soon. And hopefully some of you guys can give me an explanation or help me understand what is actually going on, because this is a pretty bad time for this to be happening in the season. Not to say that other teams don't get the injury bug and things like that and don't have things break their way, because certainly that does happen. But in this case, I'm focused on a particular team, and I'm not speaking in general here. It's quite specific. So whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoy the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and check out the next video that we have coming up on the channel. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.